ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل وآله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد. أما بعد فأوصيكم بتقوى الله فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى صلوات. Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, first of all I advise myself for taqwa, parhizgari and piety, and then I advise all of you for the same. We have initiated a series of discussions about the life and the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Today is the last Friday of Rabi'ul'awwal. Next month, while we will have the wiladat of our 11th Imam, Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salatu wassalam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And we will honor his personality, and we will have some discussion about him also, but we will continue this discussion about the life and the exemplary life of Rasulullah and his teachings and his contributions for approximately 3 or 4 more Fridays, trying to understand the impact of one life on entire humanity. Most of us, we are under the impression that one individual cannot make a big difference. Many times we have great ideas, we have some great opportunities and great plans, but when we look that it's only me, one person, or maybe a couple of other individuals in my family or in my friends that who are ready to support me to some extent, but we 1, 2 or 3 people, what difference we are going to make? And that idea that one individual or few individuals cannot make a whole lot difference, so many good ideas gets killed, and so many good initiatives and intentions also go out of window, and we feel that because we are few and we don't have much resources available to us, so we cannot do anything. But my brothers and sisters, when we look at the life of Prophet, you put it in this way, the impact of one individual on entire humanity, because these other individuals joined that one individual and not all together at the same time. They came one by one or later on few by few, and they didn't come all together at the first stage. Initially it was one man who called, and the first responders were his own wife and the young boy at his home who was his cousin, Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. Later, a few people joined them, but again one on one. It was a very slow response, and the people also who responded, they were not of any significance that they brought lot of influence or they brought lot of resources. Resources were from his own family, his wife, his uncle, he himself, whatever they had. So they used their own resources, which again gives the example that if you are a true leader and if you want to be a true leader, then instead of working with other people's money, first you have to start with your own one. You have to put your own money as a capital money, as a seed money, and you have to involve yourself fully with your initiative or with your project. You cannot say that my money will come later at one time when nobody will give, then I will use my own money. But let me first gather money from others. It doesn't work that way. Most of people, they fail because they keep their own money sitting beside for that rainy day, and they are all running around asking money from others. Others are also, if they are intelligent people, they see how much is your own investment. And if you don't make your own investment, then intelligent people are not going to join you. They are not going to put their money in your project. So, the example of Prophet is that he used his own, whatever he had, and whatever he had from his wife or his uncle or from within the family. But the point was, one individual, he stood up, he called, and eventually, as we saw, it became a bunch of people, a group of people, and then slowly, a few more people started following them, joining them, and as we discussed that at the end of his life, he had more than 150,000 people doing Hajj with him. About 150,000 people doing Hajj. And you know, Hajj is not wajib on every individual. And every individual cannot come and join you in Hajj. So it explains, if 150,000 people were doing Hajj with him, so around 300,000 people were in his following at that time. Little less or little more. From one individual within 23 years. So that success, and also a success of establishing his views on ground. Many times we can dream, and many of us, we have dreams and we have ideas, and sometimes we become very idealists, and sometimes we go ahead of our time. So there is no limit on dreaming. But the point is that how much we are able to translate our dreams or our ideas or our plans on ground. The example which we see, the success of Prophet, is whatever he had envisioned and whatever he had preached or whatever he had presented, he was able to achieve that and establish that in his own life. Very few leaders were able to accomplish their mission in their own lifetime. And particularly given the fact that many leaders, they had 40 years and 50 years and 60 years of working, while Prophet had only 23 years. And if you compare his situation and his conditions, 13 years of suffering in Makkah and 10 years of his life in Medina, every day there were so many challenges, internal and external. So many travels, so many fights, so many negotiations, and so many other jobs and duties and routines what he had to take. If we look at his life, he has not wasted 1 minute of his life. So focused, so productive, that every day, every night, every minute is being invested and brought the results. Now, today I just want to say that some of the reasons of his success. We will talk about his ahadith and teachings and khutbas inshallah in coming khutbas. But today I just want to share with you a couple of things that which made Prophet that successful as a leader. And on top of those things, my brothers and sisters, was that he was completely a selfless individual. There was nothing for himself in what he was doing. He was enjoying a very comfortable life before this. He was affluent, he had a good family, he was enjoying respect in community. People were used to call him Sadiq and Amin, and people were putting their valuable things as trusts in his custody. So he was perfectly fine. And all of a sudden he puts himself in this trouble. But when he started teaching Islam and leading the community in those 23 years, if you look at it, was totally a selfless individual. That he had no agenda for himself or for his family. And that is a big thing. Most of the leaders fail because they are not sincere or they are not selfless in their initiatives or in their projects or whatever they are trying to do. Yes, there is some benefit for community, there is some benefit for some other things, and maybe there is some sawab in it, but then there is a lot of gain and lot of benefits, and they themselves are big beneficiaries. While if you look at the life of Prophet, he gave everything whatever he had, and the day when he died, they say that he didn't leave anything. Matter of fact, he was under debt, and he made the wasiyat to sell some of his belongings to pay those debts. And he never enjoyed, he never asked anything for himself. So his credibility was, and his moral authority was because of this. He didn't have, he was not there as a king to impose himself through the swords and spears. But if people had utmost respect for him, and if people would listen to him, and if people were there to obey him and give up whatever they had for his mission, it was because he had established his credibility, his moral authority, and the person that who doesn't have any personal agenda in it. It was all lillahi rabbil alameen. That is one thing which, my brothers and sisters, is a big challenge for all of us, that if we have some ideas in our mind and if we want to do something for community or for humanity or for world or whatever. The first thing is credibility, moral authority, and proving that we don't have any personal gain in it. It's transparent and it is shaffaf, and this is only for Allah or makhluk of Allah. So that was number one thing, that he was extremely selfless individual. Never got any favor from anybody because of this. Second thing, he as a leader, he tried to not go under personal favor of anybody. Because most of the leaders, they cannot lead because when they take personal favors from the donors and from the people around, then later on they lose the ability to lead them or to confront them or to tell them the truth on their face. There is one example in history, Shia and Sunni both, they talk about it. At the night of Hijrat, when Prophet told Abu Bakr that Allah has given me permission to leave and tonight we will be leaving. So they say Abu Bakr told Prophet that I was waiting for this day and I have secured 2 she-camels for this particular journey, because one day I knew that we have to leave and we will be going together. So I have 2 she-camels and I took care of them very well. They are in very good shape. So one is for me and one is for you, and inshallah we will leave. When Rasulullah heard that, and this is, I'm talking in narration of Sunnis. The Sunnis, they write it. They say that when Prophet heard that, he said, Abu Bakr, that's fine, I will take one, but I will pay for it. I will pay for it. Whatever price is, I will pay, and then I will take one. So they say, again their narration, that Abu Bakr, he looked at the Prophet, and they said he had tears in his eyes, and he said, Ya Rasulullah, what are you talking about? Meaning, are we not same and one? Are not we one family or one 2 close friends? At that time Abu Bakr was technically his father-in-law, because Aisha was at that time in nikah of Rasulullah. The marriage had not consumed yet, but she was in nikah. He was father-in-law. And of course they were very close friends and companions. And he says, I have a she-camel for you, one for me, one for you, and I have it for, and Prophet says, I will take only if I will pay the price for it. So they explain from this incident that if he didn't take favor from Abu Bakr, even at that time when he was in need, and he was going through tough and difficult times at the time of Hijrah, so it means Prophet didn't take personal favor from anyone from the community. And that is why nobody had any, what you call, clout on him. He was a free man, he was a leader, he could look eye to eye, he could confront anyone, he could turn down anyone's suggestion or anyone's, what you call, proposal, and he could just act as a leader. And that is the second thing, that when we get what you call under personal favors from the people around, then my brothers and sisters, we can become politicians, but we cannot become leaders. We can be politicians. Politicians, you know that they take money from everyone and they don't deliver to anyone. They start kind of doing bargain and doing all those plays, but they don't have ability to look eye to eye. So the Prophet was a man who was selfless, never got under personal favors of anyone. Third thing, the Prophet was extremely flexible individual and at the same time very firm when it comes to his principles or red lines. Normally people, sometimes people are very flexible or they are very tough and rough and very harsh and very what you call stubborn. Normally these are the personalities. Either they don't have spine, they are not strong personalities. Anybody comes and tells them anything, they cannot say no, they will go with everyone in every direction. And they are extremely flexible. Or there are stubborn people that who first word which comes from their mouth is always no. No matter what you tell them, what you come up with an idea or plan or any suggestion, the first thing comes from mouth is no. And then it always remains no. Very stubborn, they don't listen to anyone, and they don't work with anyone, and they don't show any flexibility. They can be broken, but they cannot come to terms. But the Prophet had the most balanced personality in a way that he was very flexible on minor things, on small things. We want to paint this wall. Prophet was planning to paint, for example, beige, and someone said, Ya Rasulullah, I think the green would look good, so he would not make a big deal out of it. He was, please go ahead and make it green. If Prophet was planning to paint it green, somebody from the companion said, Ya Rasulullah, red would look okay. He said, go ahead and make it red. Doesn't make difference. So, on many issues, he was very workable, very flexible. But when it would come to the principles, those red lines, then even if the entire community would come forward and say something, he alone would make the decision and he would say, this is it. And that is also very important, which played a major role in his success. I'm winding up because we don't have much time to get into all these details. The other thing which made Prophet very successful, that he was a man that who did everything with a plan, and he had a gradual plan. He knew that you cannot bring a radical change or a big change overnight. You have to first establish your your authority on people, your credibility. You have to first influence people. First you have to change their mindset, and then you are going to change their lifestyle. And then from where to begin and where to end. If you look in Islam, all these ibadat now which we are doing, they were not made wajib overnight. Salat, what was the salat? Go and check. It was only a prayer which was performed during the night. And this was only recitation of Quran. Standing and reciting a few ayat of Quran, whatever Quran was revealed at that time. That was salat. And then 2 rakat namaz. And then it becomes more namaz, and then 5 prayers when Prophet goes to the Miraj. You know, Miraj was in 5th or 7th year. Then 5 prayers. Zakat became wajib in Medina, not in Makkah in all those 13 years. This interest was made haram. The last thing which was made haram was this interest. Because this was so much into the life of people and the economy and community and everything. This was the most difficult thing to challenge or change. their economical system, and certain other things about nikah and talaq and all those other things. Everything, so in order. And similarly, he starts first with his family, immediate family, then extended family, then friends, then those people that whom he thought that who are going to be more helpful in the beginning, within Makkah, then surrounding the Makkah, then Medina, then from Medina to other places. So it was not all over everywhere. And when he gets the chance, then he starts writing letters to the kings, the neighboring countries and the superpowers. But he didn't start writing those letters from Makkah, for example, to the king of Iran or king of Rome or all those places. He did that when he had his own state, he was in control, he had following, and now he was established locally, so now he starts sending messages to others. So that is also very important thing. From where to begin? First things first. First, your immediate things and your local things, and then you grow, and then you expand. And this was another reason for success, that it was with a wise plan, it was a gradual change, it was a gradual movement, and Prophet had a plan, and with a plan he implemented it. The last thing for today's khutbah, and then we are finishing, and that was, I have discussed it many times in my speeches, Prophet was not a perfectionist man. He knew that the perfect people are only Anbiya and Ma'sumin. Other than them, there is nobody who is perfect. People, all of people, everyone has strengths and weaknesses. And Prophet was someone that who made use of each and every individual available at his disposal. He never rejected even one individual. He never dumped even one individual. He made use of everyone. He gave everyone some role to play. And he was inclusive individual. He included everyone. And he gave a role and respect to everyone. And when everyone makes the contribution, then you know how business grows, or how community grows, or how institution grows. Most of us, the leaders, we try to, first of all, take most of burden on ourselves. Because we are so much kind of we are afraid that people will ruin it. People will take it away. People will make blunders. People will make mistakes. So, then what is the solution? I should do everything. I don't want to drag this khutbah and make it long, otherwise I would give you examples of very big leaders of our time or our modern times, prime ministers and presidents and kings and so many people that who felt that only they can do everything. Other people will make mistakes, other people will make blunders. So the only way to do the right things and to accomplish the goal is, I do everything. And my brothers and sisters, when we start doing everything only by ourselves, then we can do only so much. So, the true leaders, what they do, they delegate. And they become inclusive. And they give people a chance to make mistakes. In Quran, many times Allah has pointed out the mistakes of those Muslims, of those companions of Prophet, and which we Shias are very fan of those ayat, and picking those ayat and making a big deal out of it. But that was movement. This was the style of Allah and Prophet. Let people make mistakes. People are people. They will make mistakes. Allah will point out, and every time Allah forgave them. Allah says, you made a blunder, I forgave you. Now don't make this mistake anymore. You made mistake, I forgave you. Allah is Ghafoor, Allah is Tawwab, Allah is Rahim. Allah forgave you, don't make this mistake, move on. So what Prophet did, Prophet raised people with abilities, with talents, with strengths, with what you call, he trained them for job that after when he passes away, this community can continue. People can continue. Now they made some blunders even after his wafat, but still they were able to continue on his path, where eventually they became the biggest power on this planet. And for centuries and centuries, they remained the dominant power in the world. It doesn't happen if people are not able, if people are not capable, if people are not organized, if they don't know how to lead, if they don't know how to make their way. Romans were there, Iranians were there, Chinese were there, Indians were there, Africans were there. Why this bunch of people from this Jaziratul Arab, eventually they took over? And why they didn't do it before the Prophet? So the point is, Prophet trained people for job. Prophet gave everyone confidence. He respected people. He included people. And then finally what happens? When he left, so he left so many people that who were people of skills, people of knowledge, people with abilities and people with capabilities. And that is again a big thing, my brothers and sisters, for a leader. Otherwise what happens? One leader can achieve so much in his lifetime, but then what happens? Here he goes away and here everything collapses. And then people see that all what he had built, it is gone within few years. But what Prophet started, it is continuing until today. After 1400 years, Fajr Azan is on its time, Zuhr is on its time, Asr is on its time. Jumma, under these conditions, everywhere, people are fleeing away from houses of worship, and Muslims are insisting to go to pray the Jumma. And people are still running to go for Umrah, and they want to go for Hajj. And they are paying zakat, and they are voluntarily, while nobody is forcing them. And they are doing all this even until today. So that shows the power of that spin which Prophet gave to the wheel, and it is still spinning after 1400 years. That is the wisdom of Prophet, that is the power of Prophet, that is the leadership of Prophet. So inshallah we will continue that discussion in coming khutbahs. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal asri innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. صل على محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد بسم الله وعلى أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب اللهم صل عليه وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء اللهم صل على وعلى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان وعلى آبائه الكرام ما اتصل الليالي والأيام أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون So one individual needs to move here. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة